This is AM 660 Emergency Radio. This is Rick Waters. If you're out there, if you're still alive, I'm back. I wasn't sure I'd ever be speaking to you again. Hell, I wasn't sure I'd still be breathing. But I made it. I made it out of Blackridge Labs, and I need to tell you what I saw. You remember what I said last time, right? I wasn't going to sit around in this studio waiting to die. I packed up, took what I needed, and went straight to the source, Blackridge Labs. I had a plan. I was going to shut them down. I made it inside, barely. The outer perimeter was crawling, not just with the undead, but with something else. Not human, not just zombies either, something worse. Once I was in, I saw the truth. They weren't trying to stop the infection, they were perfecting it. There were bodies in tanks, rows of them, some still twitching, some breathing, some watching me. The lab wasn't abandoned, it was active. Machines still humming, lights still flickering, like somebody had just stepped away from their workstation. Then there were the doctors, or what was left of them. Some were dead, some were changed, and some were still working. Their bodies riddled with infection, but they kept going, like they weren't in control anymore. And then I saw it. The thing that's controlling them. Protocol Omega didn't fail. It evolved. I don't know how to explain it. The infection, it isn't just spreading, it's thinking. The creatures I saw, they were connected, linked, and at the center of it, a mass. A pulsating, writhing thing plugged into the lab's systems. Its tendrils ran through the walls, into the machines, into the people, and it was aware. It knew I was there. It didn't lash out. It didn't attack. It studied me, and in my head I heard it whisper. It spoke my name. I don't know if I stopped it. I rigged the explosives, set the charges where I could. I watched the fires consume the building, but as I ran, I heard something behind me. Something crawling out of the wreckage, and I don't know if I slowed it down or just made it angry. Blackridge Labs is gone, but what was inside? I think it's still out there. If you're listening to this, stay away from Blackridge, stay away from the ruins. If there's anything left in that place, it's worse than death. And if you see them, the ones that aren't like the others, the ones that don't stumble, that don't groan, that watch you, you need to run. You need to hide. Because I think I pissed them off, and I don't know how much time we have left. This is Rick Waters, AM 660 Emergency Radio. I don't know how many of you are left. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep this going. But as long as I can, I'll be here. I'll be talking. And I'll be fighting. For all of us. This is Rick Waters, AM 660 Emergency Radio. Yeah, I'm still here. Took me a hell of a long time, but I made it back. If you can hear me, if you're still out there, you're not alone. Damn, it feels strange to be back in this chair. The studio still smells the same. Dust, old coffee, stale air. The wind still rattles the busted-out window, and the red-on-air light still flickers like it's struggling to hold on. Just like the rest of us. I don't know who's listening. I don't know how many of you made it, or if anyone's even got a working radio anymore, but I've been out there. I've seen what's left. And if you're still fighting, then you need to hear this. 3 weeks. 3 weeks of hell. After Blackridge Labs, I barely got out alive. I set off the explosives and ran like hell. Fire, screams, human and not so human, filled the night. I don't know how much damage I really did, but I saw that building collapse into a smoking ruin, and I know I hurt them. But I also made myself a target. Whatever's running this nightmare, whoever's pulling the strings, they weren't happy. The undead? They were stirred up like a hornet's nest. And the ones that were different. The ones that weren't just shambling corpses, yeah. They came looking for me. I went dark. I had to. My face was on every scavenger's list, painted in blood on some of the buildings. Traitor to survival, they called me. Seems not everyone was thrilled with my little science experiment at Blackridge. Some folks out there, desperate people, think I ruined their shot at being on the winning side. So I ran. Through alleys, tunnels, sewers, ate whatever I could find. Slept with my back to walls and my gun across my chest. I stayed low, stayed moving, but I learned things, I saw things. The world, it's worse now. The dead aren't just waiting for us to slip up anymore, they're changing. And the survivors, the ones who aren't dead yet, they might be even more dangerous. I saw settlements burned to the ground, either by the undead or by raiders looking to take what wasn't theirs. I saw people living like animals, scavenging like rats in the gutters of what used to be a city. I heard whispers about things in the dark, things that don't groan and stumble, but hunt. Something is leading them. Something is organizing them. And whatever Protocol Omega was meant to do, I don't think it stopped what's coming next. But I made it. I found a way back. And you know what? The airwaves were too damn quiet. Someone needs to keep talking. Someone needs to remind you that you're not alone. So here I am, still kicking, still broadcasting. If you're out there, if you can hear me, tell me what you know, what you've seen. You know where to find me. The signal's weak, but it's here. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere this time. Not until the bitter end. Stay sharp, stay quiet, stay alive. This is Rick Waters, signing off for now. Hi survivors, Rick Waters here. If you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Also, buying me a coffee helps to support us. Link in the description. Now let's get on with the story. This is AM 660 Emergency Radio, and I'm Rick Waters, broadcasting from what's left of the world. If you can hear me, that means you're still out there, still fighting. Stay sharp, stay breathing. That's the only way we win. It's been another long, hard day in the ruins of what used to be home. The undead still roam, their numbers thinned but far from gone. The smart ones, the ones that changed after Protocol Omega, are still out there too. And something tells me they're getting bolder. I made it back to the station, but the outside, it's not what it was. The weeks I spent out there after Blackridge Labs, after the explosion, showed me things I don't think I'll ever shake. The air felt wrong. The silence wasn't natural, and the dead, they weren't always dead. But I survived, and I learned. Let's talk about the city. Blackridge burned, and for a while I thought that meant we'd bought ourselves some time. But whatever was brewing in that lab, whatever they were doing before it all went to hell, it didn't die with the building. It spread. I saw the aftermath firsthand. Creatures that shouldn't exist, flesh that moves without reason. And worse. There are places I won't go back to. Streets where shadows move against the grain of reality. And I swear, some nights, the air itself whispers. I don't know if I brought something back with me, or if something's waiting for me to go back. But I'm here, and so are you. The question is, what happens next? I've been trying to piece together what's left of the world, but it's like looking at a shattered mirror. You only get fragments, reflections of something that used to make sense. What I do know is this. The city isn't empty, not by a long shot. The dead still shuffle through the streets, their numbers ebbing and flowing like a tide. Some of them, most of them, are still just husks, echoes of the people they used to be. But some are worse. The ones touched by Protocol Omega, the ones that changed, they aren't just wandering anymore, they watch, they listen. I spent weeks out there dodging them, watching them from the shadows, and I swear, some of them have started working together. Packs, hunting groups. I saw them set up an ambush once, dragging one of their own out into the open like bait. Some poor survivor took the chance, thought it was just another stray corpse to put down. The moment he stepped close, the others closed in. It was fast, organized, they're learning, and it gets worse. The explosion at Blackridge didn't just take out the lab, it woke something up. I don't know if it was buried beneath the facility, or if it came from the wreckage itself, but something unnatural is in the ruins now. I don't have a name for it, but I felt it watching me when I tried to go back. The air was thick, heavy with something wrong. I heard whispers, saw movement where there shouldn't have been any. I left in a hurry. If you're listening and you're anywhere near that part of the city, get out. Don't look back. There's nothing left there but ghosts, and things far worse than the dead. And now here's the real question. If they're changing, if they're getting smarter, what does that mean for us? For the ones still breathing? I don't have the answers yet, but I sure as hell plan on finding them. We're past the point of just surviving. The world's different now, and so are the things in it. The dead, the ones changed by Protocol Omega, they're evolving. I've seen them set traps, move with purpose. The fog that swallowed parts of the city, that wasn't natural. I walked through it, it was like stepping into something's breath, thick and heavy, like it was watching me. Waiting, I made it back to the station, but I left something behind, a piece of me. Not just the scars or the nightmares, those are just part of the deal now. No, I left behind the version of myself that still believed this was just a freak accident, a bad turn of events. This was planned. Blackridge wasn't just running experiments, they were building something, and whatever they made, it didn't die in the fire, it spread. I don't know what's out there, moving in the ruins. I don't know how far the infection has gone or how many of us are even left. But I do know this. If we don't adapt, if we don't start thinking like them, we're done. That's why I need to hear from you. If you're out there, if you're still fighting, tell me what you've seen. Call in if you can. Leave a signal. Hell, paint a message on a wall if you have to. We need to start putting the pieces together because something is coming and we don't have the luxury of pretending otherwise anymore. Stay sharp. Stay breathing. This is Rick Waters, AM 660 Emergency Radio, signing off for now. Hi survivors, Rick Waters here. If you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Also, buying me a coffee helps to support us. Link in the description. Now let's get on with the story. This is Rick Waters, AM 660 Emergency Radio, broadcasting for whoever's still breathing. Another day in this new world. If you're tuning in, you know the drill. Stay quiet, stay smart, stay alive. I've been talking a lot about the dead changing, about what's left of us needing to adapt. But I don't want this to just be my voice. We've got other survivors out there, people scraping by, seeing things I haven't. That's why I'm opening up the lines tonight. Looks like we got a call already. Meredith, you're live. What's going on out there?
Rick? Oh God, I hope this is working. I don't know where to start. I'm outside of town, holed up in an old fire station with a few others. We've been watching something bad. The dead aren't just moving anymore. They're waiting. We saw a group of them standing in the street, completely still, for hours. They weren't wandering. They weren't moaning. Just standing there. Like they were listening for something. And then, all at once, they turned and walked the same direction. Together. Like they knew exactly where they were going.
That's not good. I've heard stories, but if you're seeing it firsthand, it means we got a problem. Any idea where they were headed?
They were heading west, toward Blackridge.
Copy that. You and your people, stay low, keep quiet. And Meredith, if they come back, Don't be there to see what happens next.
Yeah. Okay. Stay safe, Rick.
You heard her. The dead are moving with purpose now. If Blackridge is their destination, we need to figure out why before it's too late. Stay tuned, stay breathing. I don't like this. Not one bit. We've seen the dead shuffle, moan, claw at doors. We've seen them hunt by sound, by scent. But this, standing still like statues, moving as one, that's not random hunger, that's coordination. And if they're heading toward Blackridge, we gotta ask ourselves one question. Why? You all know where I stand on Blackridge Labs. That place should have burned a long time ago. When I hit it weeks back, I thought I'd crippled whatever nightmare they were cooking up. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe something survived down there, something that's still calling to the dead. I need to get my hands on more information. If any survivors out there know anything, if you've seen movements like this, if you've got a theory, hell, even if you're just guessing, I want to hear it. Call in. Let's figure this out before it's too late. In the meantime, let's go over the facts. First, the dead are grouping up. We've seen hordes before, but this isn't just a horde. This is controlled. If they're gathering at Blackridge, then it's not by accident. Second, Meredith said they waited, stood still for hours before moving together. That means something triggered them, a signal, a sound, something we can't hear, but they can. Third, this isn't normal, even for the walking corpses. We know something's pushing them, guiding them, and I got a bad feeling that whatever's behind it, it's worse than anything we've seen. I've got one more thing to say before I take another call. This movement, this evolution, if you want to call it that, it changes the game. The old rules don't apply anymore. Staying put isn't safety if they're being led somewhere. And if they've got a destination, it means they've got a purpose. The dead shouldn't have a purpose. If they do, we're in more trouble than I thought. I'll take another call in a bit. But first, I need to go through some reports I've been holding on to. Some of you have been spotting things, strange things. It's time to talk about them. All right, I've been looking over some of the reports you all have sent in. Survivors from different parts of the city, hell, even outside the city, seeing the same damn thing. The dead are moving different. One report says they saw a group just stop, mid-shamble, stood there like they were waiting for something. And then, all at once, they turned and walked east. Another survivor, holed up near an old supermarket, watched a pack of them gather under a collapsed bridge, not moving, not groaning, just standing in the rain. And when the storm passed, they marched. No stragglers, no confusion, just straight ahead, like they had a mission. And now, Meredith's call just confirmed it again. The dead aren't wandering anymore. They're being led. I don't know what's causing it. I don't know if it's a frequency, a signal, some sick experiment that's still running from Blackridge. But I do know this. If something can control them, then we've got a new kind of nightmare on our hands. And I need answers. I'm considering heading out. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Dumb move, right? Maybe. But if we don't figure this out, we're all just waiting for the hammer to drop. I won't make that decision lightly. Until then, stay sharp. Keep sending in your reports, and if any of you got theories, I want to hear them. This is AM 660 Emergency Radio, and I'll keep broadcasting as long as I can. Stay alive out there. Hi survivors, Rick Waters here. If you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Also, buying me a coffee helps to support us. Link in the description. Now let's get on with the story. This is Rick Waters, broadcasting on AM 660 Emergency Radio. If you're out there, if you can still hear me, you're still alive. And that's something. It's day 25, 100 days since the world went sideways, since the undead stood up and took back the streets, since Blackridge Labs and Protocol Omega changed the rules of the game. I wish I had better news, but I've learned to stop lying to myself. You deserve the truth. It's getting worse. Last night, I sat here in the studio, watching through the cracks in the blackout curtains, and for the first time in weeks, I saw something new. The undead, those damn things, they weren't just wandering anymore. They were gathering. Clusters of them, spread out at first, then tightening like a noose around the buildings. They weren't chasing anything. They weren't drawn by noise. They were just standing together, waiting. And then, as if some invisible signal passed between them, they moved, as one. I don't know what I'm looking at anymore. The old rules don't apply. The ones still walking, they aren't just feeding on instinct, they're operating on something else, some kind of order. I saw them clear an entire street, moving in tight formations, checking doorways, shifting their heads like they were listening for something. Not for us, for something else. And then, just as suddenly as it started, they stopped. Scattered. Wandered off in all directions like nothing had happened. I don't know what that means, but I know this. Whatever did this to them, Blackridge, Protocol Omega, hell, maybe something else entirely, it's not done. It's still changing them, still shaping them into something worse. I watched the undead work together last night, and that should scare the hell out of all of us. Because if they're organizing, if they're planning something, then the only question left is, who's calling the shots? They moved like a search party, like they were looking for something or someone. And if they're taking orders, if something is guiding them, we need to figure out what. Because if we don't, we might not get another chance. I'll dig into this more. Stay with me. I know what you're thinking. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I've been locked in this station too long and my mind is turning against me. I thought the same thing, so I waited. I kept watching. And an hour later, it happened again. Different part of town, different group of them, but the same behavior. One moment they were just wandering, aimless and slow. The next, they moved like a pack, like predators tracking something we can't see. And this time, I saw where they went. It was a hardware store, a survivor's hideout from what I could tell. Boards over the windows, makeshift barricades, a real fortress. These people did everything right, kept quiet, no lights, no movement. But the undead still found them, and not by accident. One of them, a tall, half-rotted thing with a torn security uniform, led the others right to the back door like it knew the layout. It didn't just stumble into the entrance, it pointed the way. And the others followed. They didn't smash windows, they didn't throw themselves at the walls. They started testing the barricades one by one, like they were looking for weak spots. It was methodical, deliberate. And then, when they found a panel of wood that was loose, the tall one stepped back and let the others do the work. I watched them pry it open. Not mindless clawing, not blind hunger, deliberate action, they got in. And I don't need to tell you what happened next. The screams lasted about 30 seconds. Then, nothing. A few minutes later, they walked back out. But here's the part that's going to keep me up tonight. The tall one stayed behind, standing in the doorway like it was waiting for something. And when the others left, it turned its head toward the street, toward me, and then walked away. Like it knew I was watching, like it wanted me to see. I don't know what's happening out there, but it's not just evolution. This isn't just some virus pushing the limits of the human body. This is control. This is intent. And if I'm right, then we're in more trouble than we ever thought. If you're still alive, if you're listening to this, do not assume they're stupid. Do not assume they can't think. We have to start treating them like something worse. Something organized. Something patient. Because if they're hunting us now, how long before they start setting traps? I'm not going to wait to find out. I know what some of you are thinking. Maybe this is just an anomaly. Maybe a few of them are showing signs of intelligence, but it's not widespread. Maybe it's just a coincidence, a fluke. I wish I believed that, but the truth is, I've been seeing the signs for a while now. Little things. The way some of them move differently, the way they stop and listen, even when there's no noise. The way their heads turn when they sense something, not like animals reacting to instinct, but like people processing information. And now? Now it's not just signs, it's proof. I watch them strategize, I watch them learn. And if they're capable of that, even on the most basic level, then we've been underestimating them this entire time, which means whatever you thought was keeping you safe. Think again. The old rules don't apply anymore. Stay quiet, stay hidden. That's good advice, but it's not enough. If they're watching us, studying us, then hiding isn't a long-term strategy. They will find you, they will figure it out. And that means we have to start adapting too. Barricades are only as strong as their weakest point. You're gonna need layers, fallback points, escape routes, places to go when they inevitably break through. And for God's sake, don't stay in one place too long. If they find you once, they'll find you again. I don't know how they're organizing, but I know this much. If they remember, we're screwed. Every day I wonder if I should stop broadcasting. If keeping this signal up is putting a target on my back. But if I go dark, then who's left to warn you? So I'll keep talking, as long as I can. But I need something from you too. If you're listening, if you're out there, don't just survive, think. Learn from them the same way they're learning from us. We don't have the numbers, we don't have the strength, but we still have one advantage. We still have our minds. And if we use them right, maybe, just maybe, that'll be enough. This is Rick Waters, AM 660 Emergency Radio. Still here, still fighting, for now. Hi survivors, Rick Waters here. If you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Also, buying me a coffee helps to support us. Link in the description. Now let's get on with the story. AM 660, Emergency Radio. If you can hear me, you're still alive. This is Rick Waters, and I don't know what to say tonight. I've been watching, studying. The infected, the undead, no, whatever they are now, they're changing. It's not just coordination anymore. It's not just some freak anomaly of survival instinct. They're becoming something else. Last night, I saw them do something that shattered everything I thought I understood. I was holed up on the rooftop of a half-collapsed gas station, watching the streets below. You get used to their movements, the way they shuffle, the way they mindlessly roam. But then I saw a small pack moving together, tight, precise. That's not what stopped my heart. They weren't just moving in sync, they were communicating. Not with words, not with growls or moans. It was subtle gestures, shifts in posture. One of them lifted its arm and pointed down an alley, and the others followed. That's not random, that's intent. That's planning. I don't know if it's intelligence or if something worse is happening. I wanted to follow them, see what they were doing, but I couldn't risk being spotted. The moment you catch their attention these days, it's not just about running anymore. It's about surviving something that's learning how to hunt you. So I stayed low, stayed quiet, watched as they disappeared into the dark. I still don't know where they went, but I can tell you this. Wherever it wasn't random. And if they can strategize, if they can coordinate in ways we don't understand yet, we are so much more screwed than we thought. I've been thinking about it ever since I saw them disappear down that alley. I wanted to believe it was just my mind playing tricks on me, that maybe I was seeing patterns where there weren't any. But then today confirmed it. I left the station to scavenge. Supplies are running low again. I took the back roads, moved carefully, stayed out of sight. But about an hour in, I felt it. You ever feel like you're being watched? That prickling on the back of your neck? Yeah, I had that bad. So I found cover, took a moment to scan the area, and that's when I saw them. A small group of them, maybe 5 or 6, standing completely still at the end of the block. Not wandering, not groaning, not doing that empty stare into nothingness, just waiting. Waiting for what? I ducked lower, barely breathed, watched them for what felt like forever. Then all at once, as if some silent command had been given, they all turned in unison and started moving in the same direction. Not shambling, not erratic, deliberate, focused, like they had a destination. I'm starting to think this isn't just about some freak mutation or the infection running its course. This feels like organization. Like something is guiding them, like they're part of something bigger. A hive mind? Some kind of linked awareness? Hell, I don't know. But if they're communicating, if they're moving with purpose, that means they have a goal, and we have no idea what it is. We used to be the hunters. Now, we might just be the prey. I don't know how long they've been like this. Maybe it was always there, just something we ignored because they seemed so mindless. Or maybe it's getting worse, evolving. Either way, it changes everything. Because if they're thinking, even on some primal level, then they aren't just reacting to us. They're planning. And if they're planning, that means nowhere is safe. I barely made it back to the station. They weren't following me, not that I could see, but the way they moved, the way they tracked something unseen, it was enough to put the fear of God into me. We've been operating under the idea that we just need to stay hidden, stay quiet, and they'll move on. That they're drawn to sound, movement, basic instincts. But what if it's more than that? What if they can sense us in ways we don't understand yet? I don't have answers. Just a gut feeling that the rules we've been playing by don't apply anymore. I keep thinking about those reports from before the outbreak really took hold. The missing people. The ones who weren't bitten, weren't attacked, just vanished. Maybe some of them ran, maybe some of them were taken. Taken where? And for what? Hell, maybe I don't want to know. But what I do know is this. If they're organizing, if they're thinking, if they have some kind of intelligence behind those rotting eyes, then the fight we thought we were winning, it hasn't even started yet. Stay safe out there. Stay smart. And don't assume they don't know you're there. Because they might. And if they do, they're already coming. Hi survivors, Rick Waters here. If you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Also, buying me a coffee helps to support us. Link in the description. Now let's get on with the story. AM 660 Emergency Radio. This is Rick Waters. If you're out there, if you can hear me, you're still alive. And in times like these, that's something worth holding on to. Last night I was staring out over the city, what's left of it anyway. The fires have mostly died down, the smoke's thinner, but the quiet is worse than anything. It's that kind of silence that makes your bones feel hollow. Used to be, the dead would groan, shuffle, scrape. You'd hear them before you saw them, but something's different now. I spoke with Kitta X earlier. Now, for those of you who don't know, Kitta's been surviving out there longer than most, knows how to read the streets, how to see trouble before it sees them. We talked off air, and what they told me has me rattled. They were up in an old apartment complex, looking down on a street that should have been empty. But there they were, dozens of the undead, standing still, not moving, not feeding, just waiting. Kitta said they stayed like that for hours. No wandering, no aimless shuffling, just motionless figures packed together in tight clusters. Then, as if some unheard signal passed between them, they all turned and moved at once toward a single building. They didn't break in mindlessly. No, Kitta watched them test the doors, check the windows. They were looking for a way in, and when they found it, they went inside, one after the other, like soldiers filing into position. The way Kitta described it, it wasn't a horde moving on instinct. It was a hunting party, a coordinated strike, and when they came out minutes later, dragging something or someone with them, Kitta didn't stick around to watch. I don't know about you, but that's not the behavior of mindless corpses. That's something else, and it scares the hell out of me. I can't stop thinking about what Kitta said, about what they saw. It goes against everything we thought we knew about these things. We've seen them swarm before, chase noise, pile up against barricades like mindless husks. But planning, strategy, that's new. And it's not just Kitta noticing. I've been watching the streets myself. The undead still roam, but the way they move is different. There's purpose behind it, like they're being directed. Some areas stay clear for hours, and then suddenly they flood in, sweeping through buildings like they know exactly where to look. I saw it myself yesterday. 3 survivors running down 4th Street looked like they had a solid head start. But the moment they ducked into an alley, the undead cut them off at the other end, like they knew where they were going before they even did. That shouldn't be possible. Either we've underestimated what's left of their brains, or something else is guiding them. And that's not even the worst of it. I went scavenging earlier today. Nothing major, just checking old spots near the river, places that used to be quiet. But as I was moving between buildings, I got this feeling, the kind that makes the hairs on your arms stand up, like I was being watched. Not by the undead, by something else. I kept to the shadows, stayed low, but the feeling didn't go away. Then, just as I was about to head back to the station, I spotted it. A figure, maybe 100 yards out, standing on a rooftop. They were watching me through binoculars. Not a survivor, at least not like any I've seen. They had gear, tactical stuff, the kind you don't find just lying around. Black vest, a mask covering their face. And on their shoulder, a patch. Couldn't make out the details, but I swear I saw a wolf's head emblem, and that rang a bell. That emblem. The wolf's head. I've seen it before. Back when this whole nightmare began, when I was still stuck inside this station, trying to make sense of the world falling apart, I remember people calling in, talking about a shadowy group operating in the city, not military, not government, but something else. I didn't give it much thought at the time, chalked it up to paranoia, desperation. But then I started hearing the name. Fenris. They weren't like the other responders. They didn't rescue people. They weren't evacuating survivors. They had their own objectives, ones no one seemed to understand. Some said they were here before the outbreak, operating in secret. Others claimed they were behind it. The only thing everyone agreed on? If you saw them, you ran the other way. So why the hell are they still here? The world's gone to hell. No government left to pay them, no orders to follow. And yet, there they are, watching from the rooftops, still moving with purpose. I don't think they ever left. And if I had to guess, I'd say they know a lot more about what's happening than we do. The undead are changing, learning, coordinating. And now, Fenris is back in the picture, watching from the shadows like vultures, circling something that's not quite dead yet. That's not a coincidence. So here's my question for whoever's still listening. What the hell were they really doing at Blackridge Labs before all this started? Because if Fenris is still here, then maybe, just maybe, this isn't over. Maybe this was never just about the undead. Maybe the real fight hasn't even started yet. Stay sharp out there, survivors, and if you see the wolf, don't let it see you back. This is Rick Waters, AM 660 Emergency Radio, signing off for now. Hi survivors, Rick Waters here. If you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Also, buying me a coffee helps to support us. Link in the description. Now let's get on with the story. AM 660 Emergency Radio. This is Rick Waters, still breathing, still talking, still making sense of a world that stopped making sense long ago. If you're out there, if you're still alive, you need to listen carefully. Because something is happening. Something I don't think any of us saw coming. I thought the worst we had to face was the undead. Thought the biggest threat was the infection, the rot, the endless gnawing hunger of the things that used to be people. But I was wrong. There's something else in the dark with us. Something that isn't stumbling around, moaning for flesh. Something that knows exactly what it's doing. You remember what I told you yesterday about Fenris? The ghosts that never really left? I figured they were remnants of a past we burned away when the bombs fell. But after last night, I know better. I was on the roof, taking in the ruins of the city, Blackridge Labs, a distant blackened corpse on the horizon. I watched the streets as I always do, and that's when I saw them. Not the undead, not scavengers, but something else, a shadow moving with purpose, silent, coordinated. I barely caught the flicker of a figure slipping between the wrecks of old cars, the glint of something metallic in the moonlight, then another and another. Fenris isn't just a rumor, they're still here. And they're hunting for something. I don't know what, I don't know why, but I do know this. Whatever they're after, it's worth killing for. And if they catch you in the wrong place at the wrong time, you won't be telling your story afterward. I've always believed that knowledge is survival. And right now, knowing what's moving in the dark might be the only edge we have. So stay close. Stay listening. I'll tell you everything I know. Survivors, you need to understand something. The dead don't hide. They don't work in teams. They don't move like wolves in the brush. But Fenris does. Last night wasn't the first time I saw them. Just the first time I realized what I was looking at. I went back through my old notes, my recordings, all the things I brushed off as strange but unimportant. That firefight I heard a few nights ago, it wasn't some desperate survivors holding off a horde. It was precise, tactical, controlled. Who the hell has that kind of discipline left? Then I thought about the supply caches I stumbled across in the ruins. Unmarked crates, sealed tight, untouched by looters. I figured they belonged to some survivors who didn't make it back in time to claim them. But now I think they were placed there. Bait. Traps. Maybe supply lines for a group that never stopped operating in the shadows. And that means one thing, Fenris never disbanded. Somewhere out there they're still running ops, they're still executing missions. And in a world where everything has fallen apart, that means they've got resources, they've got organization, and worse, they've got a plan. So what the hell are they planning? I saw one of them up close, not for long, but long enough. He wasn't just some soldier in patched-up gear trying to make it one more day. This guy had equipment in top condition. Body armor that wasn't looted from some dead cop or scavenged from a military surplus store. No, this was custom-built military grade. Not just surviving the collapse, but thriving in it. I don't know where they get their supplies. I don't know how they're still operating. But if they were connected to Blackridge Labs before the world burned, well then they already knew more about the undead than we ever did. And that terrifies me. Because if they knew about it before, that means they were never caught off guard like the rest of us. It means they planned for this. And if they planned for it, maybe they wanted it to happen. I don't have all the answers, not yet. But if you're still listening, then you know this isn't over. Stay sharp, keep moving, and whatever you do, don't trust the shadows. I can't shake the feeling that I've been looking at this all wrong. We've been fighting to stay alive, scrambling from one disaster to the next, thinking the undead were the biggest threat. But what if they're just the opening act? I'm starting to believe Fenris never stopped running their experiments. Maybe Blackridge Labs burned, but that didn't mean their work died with them. What if Fenris took whatever data survived and just kept going, kept evolving this nightmare? Because something's changing out there. I've been watching the undead. I mean really watching them. And I swear they're adapting. Not just the way they move, but how they hunt. I used to be able to predict them. Now they're unpredictable. They don't just charge blindly at noise anymore. Some of them hesitate, some of them wait. I saw one duck behind a car last night. Let that sink in. I almost convinced myself it was just a trick of the light, that I was tired, that maybe my mind was filling in the gaps with fear. But I know what I saw. And if the undead are learning, or worse, if someone is teaching them, then we're dealing with something way worse than an outbreak. Fenris was never about survival. They weren't just another shadowy group trying to keep civilization from collapsing. No, they had an agenda, and I think we're all part of it. I don't know what their endgame is. I don't know if they see themselves as the last line of defense or the ones holding the leash. But if they're out there, hidden in the ruins, still moving like soldiers, still gathering intelligence, still controlling resources, then that means they're preparing for something. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of being a pawn in someone else's game. I need to find out what they're up to. And when I do, well, let's just say I've got a few scores to settle. This is Rick Waters, AM 660 Emergency Radio. If you're out there, if you're listening, stay sharp, stay moving, and for the love of whatever's left, trust no one. Hi survivors, Rick Waters here. If you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Also, buying me a coffee helps to support us. Link in the description. Now let's get on with the story. AM 660 Emergency Radio, still here, still breathing. Rick Waters, your one-man news desk at the end of the world. If you're out there, if you're listening, let me know I'm not alone. Just turn your dial, I'll hear you. Last night was bad. I say that like any night is good in this wasteland, but last night was different. I heard them moving again, the undead, but not just shuffling or groaning. I heard patterns, measured footsteps, retreating and advancing. It wasn't random, it was tactical. The city used to be a mess of scattered groups. Survivors holed up wherever they could. But something's happening. The dead aren't just hunting, they're herding. I don't know if it's instinct, if they've evolved, or if someone is directing them. But I watched them last night from the rooftop of this station. A swarm pushed into an old strip mall, too precise, too coordinated, like they were flushing people out. And when they did, they didn't just devour, some they dragged away, and that should scare the hell out of you. We've talked about Fenris before, that shadow lurking behind Blackridge Labs, behind Protocol Omega. They were experimenting on the undead, trying to control them. And now, just weeks after Blackridge went up in flames, the infected start acting like a damn strike team. That's not a coincidence. That's an evolution. I kept my distance, watched from the rooftop through a cracked pair of binoculars I found in an abandoned car a week back. I could see the way they moved, the way they communicated without words. Some gestured, jerky, stiff motions, but still clear enough that others responded. A wave of one's arm and the horde shifted left, a raised hand and they stopped. I swear to you, I even saw them form a perimeter, cutting off escape routes before they rushed in. I'm telling you folks, this isn't just hunger anymore. This isn't random swarming. This is strategy. Someone or something is guiding them, and if we don't figure out who's holding the leash, we might already be too late. I'll be keeping my eyes open. You should too. I spent a few hours replaying that damn footage over and over again. The way the undead moved, it wasn't random, not mindless. It was coordinated, methodical. Not just reacting to sound or movement, but working toward an objective. I saw them avoid certain areas, take indirect routes, like they were thinking through the best way to reach a target without exposing themselves. I even caught moments where they seemed to communicate. Silent nods, gestures, the way one would stop and the others would follow without hesitation. The implications of that chilled me more than anything I'd seen since this all started. If they're learning, no, if something is guiding them, then our already slim chances just got worse. I went back through older footage looking for anything I might have missed. At first, it was the same chaotic horror show we've all come to expect. Shambling corpses, blind aggression, overwhelming numbers. But as I went further into the more recent recordings, the patterns started to emerge. They weren't just changing overnight. It was gradual, subtle, an evolution happening right under our noses, but evolution into what? The infected aren't human anymore. At least that's what I thought. But this is something else. It wasn't just intelligence, it was structure, planning, like there was a mind behind it. Maybe not each individual corpse, but something overseeing. I thought back to what Kita X told me, how they'd seen groups of undead act like hunting packs, how they avoided obvious dangers. It hadn't clicked with me then, but now I'm starting to think we've all underestimated just how deep this goes. I need more eyes on this. I need confirmation. If you're out there, if you've seen something, anything like this, reach out. I don't care if it's through old radio frequencies, emergency channels, even if you just carve a damn message into a wall where a survivor might see it. We need to share what we know, because if these things are getting smarter, then we're running out of time. If you're still listening, if you're still out there, you need to understand what this means. This isn't just another shift in the infection, another strange anomaly to add to the pile. This is a game changer. The undead are changing, adapting, and if we don't adjust with them, we won't survive. Think about it. We've always believed the infected were just driven by hunger, by instinct. But now they're organizing, taking tactical positions, herding survivors instead of just swarming them. I saw it with my own eyes, and if that's the case, if they're evolving, we have to ask ourselves the hard question: what comes next? The old rules are dead. The tricks we relied on, the diversions, the noise traps, the predictable patterns, they might not work anymore. If these things are thinking, if something is leading them, then every single survivor still breathing needs to rethink their approach. You can't just assume they'll stumble blindly into a pit that you can outmaneuver them with sheer desperation. They're watching, learning, and that means we have to be smarter, faster, more careful than ever before. I don't have answers yet. All I have are more questions, but I'm not going to stop looking. I'm not going to stop documenting this, tracking it. If someone or something is pulling the strings, we need to to find out who. And if this is a natural evolution, then we need to figure out how far it's going to go. And listen, if you're holed up somewhere thinking you're safe just because the dead haven't come knocking yet, wake up. They're moving different now, and that means nowhere is safe forever. Get out, scout your surroundings, stay ahead of them. Because if last night was any indication, we're not dealing with the same mindless husks we were a few weeks ago. This is Rick Waters, still breathing, still broadcasting. A M660 emergency radio holding the line until the bitter end. Stay safe out there and keep your eyes open. Hi survivors, Rick Waters here. If you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Also, buying me a coffee helps to support us. Link in the description. Now let's get on with the story. AM 660 emergency radio, and I'm still here. Still breathing, though at this point I'm not so sure if that's a blessing or a curse. The city's a wasteland, and we're all just trying to survive in it. Rick Waters, your one-man news desk at the end of the world, broadcasting live from the last station standing. I don't know how long it's been. Days? Weeks? Time is a concept I don't even bother to track anymore. The undead, if that's what we're still calling them, are still out there, still moving through the streets like a wave crashing over whatever's left of us. It's all we can do to keep our heads down and hope the next sunrise doesn't bring us one step closer to the end. But something's changed, something's been different for a while now. I can feel it in the air, in the way the dead move. There's a coordination to their movements. Something more than just the mindless hunger they used to show, something guiding them. And the more I watch, the more I'm sure that the worst is still to come. What I'm seeing isn't just the slow decay of humanity, it's the birth of something new, something darker, something that doesn't need us anymore. I was up all night, trying to process what I saw, what I've been hearing. From the roof of this station, I watched as the undead moved through the city in formations, like a damn army, organized, methodical. They weren't just stumbling through the streets anymore, they were hunting. But not for food. No, it was like they were looking for something, for us maybe. I don't know yet. But I know this. They're not random. They're coordinated. And that's the part that terrifies me. Last night, I saw something that shouldn't be possible. A group of them moving through the old district downtown. They split into teams almost like a military operation. One group pushed toward a building, while the others fanned out to cut off escape routes. They surrounded it. There was no chaos, no frenzy, just cold, calculated efficiency. And when they reached the building, when they breached it, it wasn't like before. They didn't just consume. Some of them took people, not to eat, not to kill. They dragged them off, like they had a purpose. And that's when I realized something's been happening, something bigger than we understand. Maybe it's been happening for longer than we even realize. The dead don't just hunger anymore, they're working together, they're organized. Someone, or something, is leading them. I don't know who or what it is, but it's not just survival. They've become predators, and we're the prey. The last few weeks I've been hearing strange things. First, it was the whispers, rumors. Survivors talking about organized groups of the undead, moving in patterns, setting traps. But I thought it was just panic, people grasping at straws to make sense of the chaos. But now I'm not so sure. I've seen it with my own eyes. It's not just instinct, it's like strategy. And if we don't understand it, if we don't figure out who or what is pulling the strings, we're all going to be wiped out. I keep going back to what happened at Blackridge Labs, that place that started this whole damn mess. They were studying the infected, experimenting with them, trying to find ways to control them, weaponize them, I've always wondered what they were really up to in there, what they were hoping to achieve. And now? Now it's clear they didn't just create a disease, they created a weapon. A weapon that doesn't need us to pull the trigger. I've heard it before, and maybe you have too. Fenris. The shadowy organization that's been lurking behind Blackridge. The whispers, the rumors, there's always been something off about them. A powerful, hidden faction that nobody really knows anything about. But now it's clear. They were experimenting with the undead, trying to control them, to turn them into soldiers. And I'm starting to think that whatever they were doing, it worked. It worked too damn well. I can't shake the feeling that Fenris is watching, waiting. I don't know what their end game is, but I'm certain we're not going to like it. If they're the ones behind this shift in the undead, if they're the ones guiding this evolution, then we've got a whole new kind of nightmare on our hands. I've been trying to figure out what to do next. What the hell do we do when we're facing an enemy that isn't just trying to eat us, but is learning how to hunt us down, how to trap us? I don't know if there's an answer, but I know we can't just sit here and hope it'll go away. The thought of running is tempting, but running's only going to delay the inevitable. No, the answer isn't in fleeing, it's in fighting, in understanding who's pulling the strings and taking the fight to them. But even as I sit here, as I speak to you now, I know it's dangerous. I know I'm taking a risk just by saying any of this on air. Fenris? They don't take kindly to people poking around in their business. They've got eyes and ears everywhere, and if they're listening to me now, they know what I know. They know that I'm not just talking about the undead, I'm talking about them too. I'm not sure what comes next, but I know I can't keep running. I can't keep hiding. We need to expose what's going on. We need to take back our city. And maybe, just maybe, there's still time to turn this thing around. But I'm not sure how much time we have left. And I'm even less sure who's still out there listening. But if you are out there, if you can hear me, you're not alone. We're all still in this together, even if it feels like we're outnumbered. Even if it feels like we're surrounded on all sides. We're still breathing, and as long as we're breathing, we've got a shot. For now, keep your heads down, watch for the signs, and don't let them know you're out there. And for God's sake, don't trust anyone who tells you there's no hope left. I don't know how else to say this, so I'm just going to put it out there. Something's wrong. More wrong than usual. I've been watching the footage over and over, and I'm seeing patterns I don't like. I told you about the horde I saw last night, how they moved like a pack, like they were responding to something. I thought maybe I was just tired, that my brain was playing tricks on me. But it's not just me. Survivors, people I trust, have been reporting the same thing. Kita X, the one I mentioned before, called in a few days ago, about the infected hunting in coordinated groups, and now I'm seeing it with my own eyes. They're shifting, splitting into groups, herding survivors, pushing them into kill zones like a well-trained predator. You don't see that kind of movement in mindless corpses, you see that in soldiers. And then there's Fenris. I don't like talking about them. Feels like speaking their name out loud might call them down on me. But ignoring them won't make them go away. They were tied to Blackridge Labs, the ones doing experiments, the ones who vanished after everything went to hell. And now, just when things start getting even worse, we see the infected behaving like attack dogs. That's not a coincidence. This isn't just the dead getting smarter. This is something, someone, giving them orders. Now I know what you're thinking. Maybe it's just survival instincts kicking in. Maybe some infected are adapting. Hell, I'd almost believe that if not for one little problem. These things, they're searching for something. I was outside earlier, looking through the scopes, trying to get a better read on what was happening out there. I saw a pack of them gathered at an old checkpoint, staring at the remnants of a convoy. Not attacking, not wandering aimlessly, just standing there like they were waiting for something. And then, like someone had flipped a switch, they all turned at once, moved in the same direction. No hesitation, no confusion, like a unit responding to a silent command. I don't have answers yet, but I've got a bad feeling in my gut. A real bad feeling. I need you listening out there to be smart. I need you to understand what's happening. The rules we've been following since day one, they might not apply anymore. If these things are following orders, if they're being controlled, then hiding isn't going to be enough. Running isn't going to be enough. We need to figure out who's behind this. I don't know how much time I have before I get cut off, but if you're out there, if you've seen what I'm talking about, find a way to let me know. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about understanding what the hell we're really up against, and I've got a sinking feeling we're running out of time. All right, I need to keep talking. I need to keep broadcasting. If I stop, if I let the silence settle in, I don't know what happens next. I don't know how much longer I've got. The infected, the ones I've been telling you about all night, they're here. It started with just a handful, roamers wandering in from the north side of town like they always do. I didn't think much of it at first. Just kept my rifle close, watched them from the security feeds. But then more came, more than usual. Now they're surrounding the station. I can hear them outside. They're not snarling, not moaning like the mindless husks we've been dealing with for weeks. They're just standing there, waiting. It's like they're listening to me. I don't know what's worse. The fact that they're not breaking down the door, or the fact that I think they could if they wanted to. I tried barricading the entrance, pushed the console desks against the doors, stacked up whatever I could find. But let's be real, folks, I'm not keeping them out forever. And here's the part that's really got my skin crawling. I've been watching the security cams. They're not just standing around. They're moving, deliberately. One of them, a tall one, wearing what looks like a torn-up military vest, keeps turning its head toward the cameras. Every few minutes, it looks right at me. They know I'm here. They're not trying to break in. Not yet. I think they're waiting for something. Or someone. I don't want to say it. I don't even want to think it, but I have to. This feels planned. And that means someone's calling the shots. Fenris. I don't have proof, not yet. But it fits, doesn't it? Blackridge Labs made this nightmare, but Fenris? They were the ones who kept it locked up. Kept it hidden. Until they didn't. I thought they were gone. I thought they went down with Blackridge. But if these things are acting on orders, then something is pulling the strings. And if that's true, what the hell do they want with me? Wait. Oh God, the front door. I can see it from the booth. It's not just them out there anymore. There's a man or something that looks like one. He's standing at the base of the stairs, just beyond the reach of the floodlights. He's not infected. Not like the others. I can't see his face, but I can feel his eyes on me. And the second he stepped forward, the infected stopped moving. They're waiting for his command. I need to go. They're coming. They're not breaking the door down. They're opening it. Oh God. I don't think they're here to kill me. I think they're here to take me. If anyone out there is still listening, stay up.